Morning, everybody. Welcome to Thunder Road. I'm Paul. Today, I dragged this old motor out of my spare parts pile. I bought this motor 2 or 3 years ago. It was a pretty good price, but I don't know anything about it. I know that when I bought it, that I tested it just to see if it was freed up and the crank moved free, but I have not really done anything to it. I was storing it outside under a plastic bag and under an awning, so it wasn't getting water in it. And I did put some plugs in the water jacket, which, you know, maybe I needed to, maybe not. Those were opened up. I put a new oil feed tube on it because it was missing it, and I didn't want to get water and stuff down in there. But other than that, that's really all that I have done to this motor. And today I want to see if I can get it to start. So I bought this kind of generic little rolling engine stand. It's designed for a small block Chevy, but I figured that I could modify it to make it work. So the engine mounts on this old F-head motor are quite a bit different than that, but I think with just some, simple modifications to that cart, we can get that to work out. One thing that I need to do in my modification is that these engine mounts, they sit too far forward on this on the engine for this cart. Plus, it's a little bit wider. The engine is a little bit wider than this cart. And the mount for the back of the motor down in here is wider than this stand by a couple of inches. Now, looking at this stand, one thing I notice is that these are actually kind of pointed in a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. And so I think when we get that ready to mount, we widen those out a little bit, it'll actually bolt, into one of those engine mounts somewhere on the back, one of those bell housing mounts. The solution that I have for doing this is I cut some steel plate that I had laying around, and I'm going to kind of mount that right there on those, kind of right in the center. But that should give me enough room, enough height on this, especially with it kind of sloping up on an angle, that I should be able to mount the motor on there. So I haven't done anything with this motor since I bought it a couple of years ago. I mean, like I said, I covered up a few holes and I just put a big plastic bag over it and stuck it outside. So we're gonna test it right now and see if it still turns free. Okay, so it turns free on that. Let's make sure it's turning in the back here. Oh yeah, it's turning the back of that. There's not any spark plugs in it, so.
Oh, well, that's why it's got no compression then.
Yeah.
I thought you put some in it.
I did, but I took them out and put them in Alice.
I see.
So anyway, so that's a good sign. One thing we'll need to do is I do have a couple of spare carburetors. So we could throw a carburetor on here.
We'll just dump fuel into it.
Yeah, just dump fuel in it.
You can just put a carb on it though, then you can run it steady.
I mean, there's a lot of goop in that intake. I have no idea how long this motor sat, or where it sat. when I got it, it was actually, the guy had kept it inside, but I don't know where he got it. He ran, wasn't it a junkyard or like a wrecking yard or something?
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't
Some
really
scrapyard or
know anything about it. One thing this has is it has a toilet paper oil filter. I'm trying to remember the name of this. They're kind of France.
I think it's just the Franz oil cleaner. I mean, what it says.
Oil
on the
cleaner,
top of
yeah.
it. You can find it with that.
But anyway, you want to take that off? Should we take that off and see? I've never even taken this thing off. I don't know if there's a roll of toilet paper in there. I have no idea. Maybe it'll make a huge mess. We've got a bucket down underneath that, just in case it does.
Gross.
Well, they got their money's worth out of that.
Toilet paper roll.
Yeah. But anyway, I mean, there's the toilet paper core.
It's wet.
It's kind of funky. When I bought this, I noticed that oil filter on it, and I did some research online, and people say that they work really, really well. I know that there was either a Ford Power Stroke or a Cummins forum that I saw that a lot of the guys swore by these for their big diesel motors. So I don't know if I'm just going to leave that on there or what. That toilet paper is pretty deteriorated right around here in the front. I don't know if you can see that really well.
Well, I think it's pretty deteriorated the whole way through.
And that would kind of make me nervous as far as which side is filtering. Is it filtering this way or in there? I don't know. So maybe who knows? I guess
Oh, there that goes.
I guess if toilet paper
Gross.
went through the system, it looks like it'd probably break it down enough that it would just kind of wash out in the oil. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll find out.
Well, I don't think this toilet paper's doing much filtering anymore.
Yeah, we may have
It may be
we may have to
plugged.
go down to the storeroom and get another roll of toilet paper.
That'll break the bank.
Anyway, if it works good, I mean, toilet paper is a lot cheaper than an oil filter, but
Well, worst case scenario, we've got an extra oil filter and oil filter.
well, and if
housing
we
for
went
it,
through a
so-
COVID situation again, maybe toilet paper would be a premium, and so we don't want to waste it as an oil filter.
we could sell our oil filter supply.
Yeah.
We got extra stock.
Okay. Well, I'm going to keep going. Is that air compressor still on? Did you turn it off? I know, I just... No. Well, that worked pretty good. Yeah. Hey.
What else do we use it on?
Usually it's something. We need to move the gas pedal forward a little bit. Okay. Made some pretty good holes. Punched right through that. Sorry about the air compressor noise. Sound like a thunderstorm.
Now, Millie uses a truckload of toilet paper.
Hate you.
Yeah, the 18-wheeler should be coming on Friday to bring her a new roll.
Why do you need it?
For the oil filter. I'm not messing with you, Mill.
So is that gonna be in the car as it's?
Yes.
So we did the Bubba fix on the engine stand, but I think that worked pretty good. It mounted in the back. Okay, we had to put some spacers in there because the cast iron on the block was interfering with that lower bar, but those spacers work pretty good. But that's mounted on there.
That's probably over torqued.
Yeah. Well,
Torque to spec.
we'll see if this engine starts because it may have to come apart
Okay.
anyway. Okay, it's been a few days since I started on this. I just had to order some parts. I needed to get some spark plugs and some spark plug wires for it. I haven't done anything with this motor. I bought this motor. I didn't know anything about it. It was just a good price. And so I am finally getting around to seeing if it's going to work. You know, what I've done in the meantime is I actually finished kind of building up this test stand that I'm going to use. I put little plates on here for the motor to mount to. I have built the control panel here that just has, you know, a cluster gauge here that has temperature, oil pressure, and voltage from the battery. It has a power on that just kind of turns all that on. It's got a fuel switch for the fuel pump. This also sends power to the coil, and then just the start switch. And so anyway, I had to get a new starter motor for it, not a new one. I didn't have one in the first place. So the starter motor that I'm using on this is actually for a Toyota Land Cruiser, and this is a high torque starter motor. These will work on it. You know, there's videos on YouTube showing how it works, but it meshes up, fits in there just right. The only thing is the mounting holes. You have to kind of drill those out a little bit just to make them a little bit bigger to get it to mount on there. But I like these starter motors because they are far more powerful than the original starter motors, and they're about a third of the weight and about a third of the size. That original starter motor, I mean, sits back there about that far. And so I've done that. We put the flywheel and the bell housing on. I had to get a different oil pressure sender. The one that I had was just for a switch, but I actually want to see what the oil pressure is on this motor. We added an electronic fuel pump. The carburetor is a Solex carburetor that I just had laying around here. I don't think there's really anything else that we've done to it other than just kind of finish building this little cart. But I don't even know if this engine, you know, it should spin because it's free. I think I showed that in the last, you know, the last segment that I filmed on this. And it, you know, it does turn over, but I don't know if it'll start. I don't know what it'll do. And so, anyway, I guess the thing to do is to try it out. Well, let's try it, see what happens. So I'm going to turn on the power.
We want to get that fuel, try to get that pump filled
Yeah.
up in the carburetor.
Kick on the fuel pump and see if okay. Here, I'm going to kick it over. Watch out. I don't know what it's going to do. It may shoot a flame out the top. Oh, it turned over. I didn't know anything. I mean, we just kind of adjusted the timing by hand. We just turned that.
Well, you're dumping fuel. You're going to flood it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's flowing right out the top of it.
Okay, well, that's probably too much fuel. Let's start it again, and we don't have the coil going, so it's just gonna crank over.
See a little starter fluid?
No, it's probably got plenty of fuel in there.
Well, it's working.
Okay.
It's filling the bowl.
Okay, I'm gonna turn on the coil again and see if we can get it to go.
Okay. Crank it.
I think that's pushing way too much fuel in there.
I agree.
Hey, undo that fuel pump. I have it so I can unplug the fuel pump. Okay. Boy, it wants to start. All right, let's try it again. Now it's not showing any oil pressure, but I know that it has oil pressure because just when we were turning it by hand, it
was pressurizing.
It was pressurizing it. So it may just be that, I don't know. It was a cheap Amazon oil pressure sender.
Okay, you have power to the fuel pump.
Okay, fuel pump's off.
Well, we want to hook up that fuel pressure regulator. Whew, this is full of smoke. We may want to move it.
Yeah. Well, should we open this back door?
Yeah.
And open that other garage? Oh, man. Okay. Here, let's, you open that garage?
Yeah.
Woo! Okay. I do have a fuel regulator.
But I guess we don't have the fittings for it. We'd have to,
Yeah,
or
we
we
do.
can squeeze them over the big ones.
So, anyway, I've got a fuel pressure regulator. Maybe we'll hook that sucker up. See if we can
Control it.
control that a little better. So, we'll get that hooked in there and we'll be back. Okay, it's up there. Now just try it. Getting too much fuel again, do you think? Apparently this little Amazon oil pressure sender,
It doesn't work.
either the sender doesn't work or the gauge up here is wrong. I think what I may do, they make a gauge that's just a manual gauge that just screws right into it, and I think I'm just going to get one of those so I can see the oil pressure, because I am curious as to what the oil pressure is on this motor. I don't want to run it a lot. But that's pretty cool. this engine fired off, I'm going to mess around with it a little bit more. That being said, remember that the key to happiness in this life is to love God and to love your neighbor. And I would encourage everybody to go ahead and do that, and, you know, be kind to those around you, and, you know, help out those who could really use your help. And we'll see you later. Thanks for watching.